Hello, everyone. We are back with another RUPL manager interview, and this time we have Feliburn, the one of the managers of the Bulletproof Bombers.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Yes, I am the manager with Ajna of the Bulletproof Bombers, and I'm excited for another RUPL.
We're glad to have you here. So, first question we'd like to ask: talk about yourself. How did you start on Smogon?
Cool. Yeah, so I started Pokemon by playing Diamond and basically, by watching the anime. And then I had a friend who played with me as a kid who came up to me quite a few years later and asked me if he wanted to actually battle with our in-game teams. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he linked me the site Pokemon Showdown. From there, I got into Smogon, and then after that, I basically started Mons. Basically, in a sense, I was messing around on the Ranbats ladder for quite some time, and that's kind of how I started.
And how did you get into RU?
I think so. From the Ranbats ladder, I basically I joined around Oras, and from the Ranbats ladder, I sort of was just messing around on different ladders, and then I basically kind of started RU over there. And the ladder was a bit messy, but laddering was really fun. I met basically some of my best friends laddering, and a couple of people you know, um, who are in RUPL now, and I've stuck through from Oras, Evi, and Ajna in particular. So yeah, that's kind of like just a little bit of my brief journey. I've been playing RU since I started playing officials in Sun and Moon, and then eventually I made my way to RUTL when they needed me, and here I am.
Awesome. It's been good to have you there. So,
Thank you, thank you.
tell us about your first RUPL.
Wow, that was quite a while ago. Um, Let me see. Let me actually just pull up the team where I was in my first RUPL. So I can tell you about the first RUPL I didn't manage though, because that was quite a memorable experience for me. I think that was in um, 2019 or 2018, I believe. And so prior to that, I was on a team with Ajna and Evi, and we somehow missed playoffs. And that's kind of from there I wanted to manage. And I think I've been in every RUPL since, even though I am officially retired. Um, but I think my first RUPL was. Let me just pull up actually my team just so I get a bit accustomed to it. So I can give you a rundown of my managers and things. Oh yeah, this is when Shake was RUTL. Shout out Shake.
That's a name I don't even recognize.
Tsunami, you probably know him in
Oh, yeah.
Smogon.
Hmm.
Yep, yeah. So there you go. Uh, yeah, so in Gen 6, so was it, yeah, I think, oh, oops. Um, yeah, sorry, it's been quite some time.
No worries.
Yeah, I think well, I'll probably just start off with the RUPL I managed in SM because that's probably something I'm a bit more familiar with. So that was it was a really like I think nice experience managing that, and I've in general tended to manage RUPL since, though I was a player in the last one and I went for a ridiculous price. So I do prefer managing and self buying as opposed to basically um, you know, trying to go in the pool and then see because I went for 27K last, which is quite high. But no, other than that, my first SM Tour, I managed. I bought a bunch of my friends, including Meeps, Lax, and a bunch of other cool friends or other kind of tour friends who I made friendships with in the community. And since then, I've kind of kept up with my close knit group. I do try to give new people a chance when I can, but it is also quite difficult because you want to make sure you have fun and a good team environment. And I've generally kept a good team environment in every RUPL I've been in or managed since. So that's been a really enjoyable experience for me.
Yeah, sounds good. So, how did you approach this year's draft?
Right. Sorry, did you say something or did you
Oh,
go? Go.
how did you approach this year's draft?
So I think, in all honesty, this year's draft was probably taken by, it was more of an Ajna draft than me because well, first of all, for those who don't know, I came like 45 minutes late to the draft. And
You did.
Ajna pretty much knew the players who he wanted. This is a very Ajna team. You have Blunder, Lax, Ima, the typical, basically, kind of Ajna um, tour group. But I think we got plenty of steals. The fact that we both self-bought meant our initial starting budget was quite low, and we had to get Blunder and a few others. So I think, though, we ended up with people who we knew who are really good players who we trust, and we have so much upside basically that I don't see us like not making playoffs reasonably. Playoffs obviously are a different beast. And I think this year a lot of the team will be dependent on Ajna and me pulling up because typically with drafts we've had on the Mighty Mudsdales when we both managed, we've managed to pick up the good 3Ks to 5Ks and they performed well. But sometimes when we don't perform, that actually can drag the team down. So in addition to having to help the team, it's going to be a task to perform well ourselves. But I think, obviously, Ajna is Ajna. You don't need to say more about that. And even though the best of three pool is, extremely deep, I'm confident basically in my ability to build teams and play in that. So I'm looking forward to, a good RUPL.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you play as well. So, on the topic of self buys, you and one other team were the only ones to have both managers self buy.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, I wasn't originally planning on managing, but when Lax dropped out and Ajna asked me, I kind of can't say no to Ajna. And I think, obviously, so Ajna should be playing Oras. I will be playing the best of three. And I think, in some sense, we trust ourselves, given the fact that we know pretty much every gen from 5 to 9, honestly. We cover it between the both of us. And I think, in terms of, the fact that you never know how auctions are going to go. So self buys gives you basically, okay, you're going to work around this. You can manage your budget a bit better knowing basically kind of beforehand where your team stands. So I think self buys, even though they did like significantly deplete our budget, we knew the kind of people who we would get later on in the draft, and we knew we wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of money on them. So I think actually it was, definitely worth it for the two of us. Otherwise you never know if a player goes like 20 or 25K who you really want, and then you're stuck basically kind of scratching midway in the auction as to, what kind of slots you need filled up or what kind of, things you need. The both of us cover every slot, so we have insane flexibility on our lineup anyway. Meru, Ima, Lax, Lax is tier lock, but Ima and Meru can cover many gens, TKO as well. They're all established RU players, so we should have plenty of, versatility in our lineup as well.
Yeah, sounds good. So, do you want to go into any more detail about the rest of your lineup then?
Um, I mean, on the topic of steals and all that, I'm very excited for, that Ajna drafted Moon as well, who I think is coming back to RU tours after some time. And I think they should have like some pretty innovative ideas and some good team selections in Sun and Moon. Um, Other than that, Temp has I believe made the top six of seasonals, if not more. I'm not sure where he is right now, but he's obviously shown that he can play at a really high level. We have a really good substitute in Taka as well, so I think from the first name to the last name, everyone will contribute well on our team. And as I said, I think if me and Ajna pull our weight in the tour, we should have a good shot of making playoffs and even winning the tour.
Sounds good. So, about the other teams in the tour, who would you consider the most threatening?
It's quite you know it's quite interesting. So I feel like every team can actually reasonably make a case for playoffs. Um, Personally, I would say the technicians and the toxic chains are two teams which seem really really strong actually, and I'll say the payloaders as well. That's probably a third team. For the technicians, I mean, I think everyone's talked about the fact that Floss and Franklin also were the two managers of Self-Bought who probably had a similar rationale to us, but in addition they got ODR, who I think in this pool, given the fact that Arjun is not playing, would be the undisputed number one SM. Um, and these three itself, like the thing is, Floss and Franklin, other than probably an ODR, other than I'd say Black and White, maybe to an extent, or as cover any tiebreak slot really really well. Um, and so I think these three are amazing in short. And then I think they got a couple of really nice steals or like cheaper slots. ZS going for 3.5K. I think Ishtar also went for really cheap. I don't remember exactly how. But
6.5.
yeah, so that's really good value for a very competent SV slot. Quilly was also a good steal. Astro is a really nice 3K pickup because he's going to make the team chat really active. So I think overall this team is littered with really good slots. There's not one slot I would say which is weak. For Evie's team, I think it has a similar thing, but it has a really strong sort of energy, if that makes sense. Like between people who are not only like who main the tier and who main the tier well, but they're all active chat presences who mesh well with each other. So, you have obviously Evi, Mace, Siri, Ifo, all of them have teamed together. They know each other really well. And I think, Fiend as well, they're all going to be really active presences. Rarely Me was another nice pickup, as is Typhoon Carter. I think all of them are going to be it's going to be like a really active team chat that pops off. Um, and even, this kind of helps with the fact that then she bought Stresh, which is a really good SV player who will, take teams, and it doesn't even need to be the most active presence when the whole team is basically kind of bouncing ideas around. But I mean, having said that, there's every team has almost like their signature buys and people who work well with each other. So I think the best thing about this RUPL is that every team has team synergy, and given the fact that every team has this kind of insane team synergy, it's going to be hard to peg one team to be kind of clear front runners. But yeah, I mean those two teams to me stand out on paper.
Okay. And final question. What are you most excited to see in the upcoming season?
So personally, as RUTL as well, I'm quite happy that our tier has become more active. And I do hope that some of the newer slots do get playing time and actually get to show off basically kind of the teams and, um, you know, and basically kind of not promote, but like push the SV tier forward in terms of, building and things like that. Particularly there are some people who did really well in the recent RULT and RU seasonals, like Ming, Chungler, Suki. Um, There's FB Flamingo Pokemon, who's also in a relatively new slot. Um, Metallica is another one who I'm quite excited by. HJK, yeah, there's a lot of them. I would say that I kind of wish more mainers were picked up in the draft because some of these teams are like pure team, like we're kind of pure tournament players. But I don't want some of the names who did really well in like, the past classic and RULT to be kind of discouraged. There are players like LBN, um, uh, GEWW, Guiger, I don't, Gu, basically, I'll call, just a few to name, and Helio X7. These guys I've seen pop off in tournaments as well. And even though they haven't been bought, I hope that there will be another team tour immediately in the future for later, for them to kind of showcase their worth because they absolutely do deserve to be in RUPL. They have the results, they have you know the knowledge and everything, and it's a shame basically that they didn't. Unfortunately, you can't buy everyone, but hopefully the tier is as active as it's been in the last few months, and we push the metagame forward basically with SV in this tournament. So I'm quite excited for that.
Yeah, that's been a common sentiment that with the uh, quantity of sign-ups, there are a lot of people who probably should have been drafted who weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully there is another. So there were talks about a potential third team tour to accommodate this. To make sure, I mean, obviously, right around the corner there is RUGL, which would hopefully give a chance to get like some good teams and good playing in as well. But if we can make a plan for a nice smaller third team tour, that should hopefully be like a more kind of semi-serious environment for the mainers who should have been bought to actually kind of participate and get the team tour experience, especially so that then when they come into next RUPL, they'll have a little bit more experience and also they'll be, managers will know who to specifically get. So yeah, don't be discouraged, guys. A couple of people in the community do know who you are, and there's definitely don't feel like your results are being ignored, and there will come a time, hopefully soon, and I really do mean that you get your chance to shine, and keep being part of the RU community, keep doing well in tours, because as RUTL, there's nothing more I can ask for other than an active community, which I'm really loving, by the way, right now.
Yeah, the community in the last few months has been great. So,
Yeah,
one last
absolutely.
thing I want to add.
Sure.
Um, so, recently there has been someone impersonating you, claiming to be the Hisuian Feliburn. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I have conceded the crown, unfortunately, and RULT, and I have run away from him in RUPL. So it's a shame, but I concede the title of Superior Feliburn to Feliburn Hisui, aka Master Chief.
So, you consider it similar to Ninetales, let's say, how the Syrian variant is superior.
Oh, that's Alolan. No, I will more
Oh,
like
yes, my bad.
Samurott.
Samurott,
Samurott.
yes.
Yes.
Whoops.
Samurott is, yeah. So Samurott Hisui is, yeah, the superior version. So yes, I concede the title.
Very good. Thank you. This has been Feliburn from the Bulletproof Bombers.
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Yep.
Thank
This
you
is
for,
Feliburn.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the interview, and I'll see you guys around in RULT. Sorry, in RUPL.
Goodbye.